I am so glad to welcome you once again to our new broadcast on Africa Uncovered News YouTube channel. My name is TJ, and today we're going to be discussing the politics of Uganda, especially the upcoming 2026 general elections that seems to be hitting with primaries already going on in Uganda right now. That's what we're going to be discussing. And our working title today is East Africa's longest serving president, Yoweri Museveni, nominated for the last term. Yes, you've heard me right. President Yoweri Museveni nominated in primaries for the last term. Question mark. That's what we're going to be discussing on this channel, and we're asking ourselves, what does this signal? That's what we're going to be discussing. So sit down, relax, fasten your seatbelts, and here we go. President Yoweri Museveni has led Uganda for the longest. We all know the history of President Yoweri Museveni and his presidency. He's been in power ever since 1986, having, taken over from the likes of Apollo Milton Obote II, but also having taken part in the fight against the notorious Idi Amin Dada. So he has been the president of Uganda all through for a number of terms until today, until the age where he is, approximately 79, or if not clocking 80, as the president of Uganda. And he's been pivotal in so many ways, ensuring that Uganda is secure and building one of the most formidable forces on the continent, not just in East Africa, but on the continent, of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and, weeding out all the elements of rebel unions and, and government unions in the country, the ADF, the likes of Joseph Kony, Lakwena, and other, unions, but also ensuring that he tries to ensure that his neighboring countries are also in peace. We've seen Uganda export its UPDF to the likes of South Sudan to stabilize South Sudan. You remember in the 2013 war that broke out in Juba between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, the UPDF did a great job of ensuring that peace returned in that country. UPDF has been pivotal in ensuring that peace returns in Somalia. We've seen it in Congo, we've seen it in Chad, and so many other countries. So he has helped in building such a formidable force in the UPDF, transiting from the national army, the National Resistance Army, to the Uganda People's Defense Forces, and hence becoming a very, very strong force to reckon with on the continent of Uganda. So all that, and among others, are the achievements of Yoweri Museveni, but also looking at the transition of the country in terms of economy and health, okay? At the point where Uganda was when he just captured power in 1986 to where it is today is such a paradigm shift in terms of development. So he has registered a lot of achievements. However, as time has gone by, so many people that believed in him and loved him and were, willing to do anything when he had just come to power for what he was fronting as his agenda, have steadily but progressively dwindled in numbers to an extent that we have seen a lot of demonstrations against his leadership from time to time that has brought up people in opposition, with the likes of Dr. Chiza Besigye, who was once his personal doctor when they were capturing power, to becoming a nemesis. We've also seen the likes of political leader in the name of Robert Chaguranyi, who was initially a musician turned a politician, to vie against President Yoweri Museveni. And in the due process, he has been a man of both democracy but autocracy to some people, okay? To those who believe in him and support his government, they will tell you he has been diplomatic, he has been democratic and diplomatic in the ways that he's been doing his things. And him personally, he would tell you that what a dictator would I be to have gone through elections for all these terms coming back as president. I would be a different breed of a dictator. But then those who don't like him and don't support him will tell you that he went against his words at the point when he had just come to power, where he stated that the problem of African presidents is overstaying in power, something that he has done himself. For over 40 years, or close to 40 years, he's been in power, and most of the people, the young generation in Uganda, has only seen one president. That is one that baffles the youths, by the way, majority of which don't support him much, as also there is a very, very big number of youths that support him, that feel that Uganda is secure enough to allow you do your day-to-day things without, fearing for your life, or fearing that tomorrow you will be running around. People are doing their businesses, people are prospering, people are going for to further their educations abroad, and life is normal. But you can never be good at all sides. Like we said, there are those who are against him and there are those who are for him. Okay? So for those who are against his government and his leadership, will tell you that he has overstayed in power close to 40 years, and there is a lot of corruption in his government, where government coffers have been drained by individuals that are in his government, and in most instances are left to go scot-free, and if they are prosecuted, brought to book and put behind bars, they don't stay there for long. Instead, they are brought back, or they come back, reintegrate, and do the same thing. And those who are pro him will tell you that at least we have peace. So either way, from which coin, it depends where you're seeing it from, there is a positive or a negative to the man, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni. But at the perspective of the East African community and Africa, there's a lot of praises that he's been showered with, especially for championing for the unification of East Africa and later on Africa. We all understand that Museveni has been so pivotal towards the establishment and formalization of the East African community. And in every address that he happens or gets a chance to be on, he always speaks about the unity of East Africa that would at one point breed into the unification of Africa. Common currency, common market, probably one army, which would instead make Africa stronger, make East Africa stronger. And this is a point that he has always, had better hand at or with against all his opposition. He is seen as a father figure, he's seen as a grandfather figure to the entire community of East Africa, comprising of over 7 countries, and then the continent of Africa. He is a run-to kind of figure in the politics of the continent, and we have seen this on a number of occasions where different countries that have turbulences are always running to him for advice and on how things should be done in their countries. However, this has not stopped people from criticizing his government, from seeing or looking at loopholes within his government. For example, the country should have been far more developed than where it is if he had used more stronger arm, especially to weed out corruption, among other things. Now, what has shocked so many people, but not shocking to majority, is that Museveni has again, put out himself to be the candidate for presidency come next year's general election in Uganda, 2026. Okay. Now, it has been taunted for a number of times that his son would be the predecessor, would be the one to come in his position. And the drums and bells were rung like 2 or 3 years before. But just at the beginning of this, towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba came out to declare that he was not going to stand in the general elections of 2021, and he was running all his support behind his father. He took onto his X and told all the people that were supporting him for his candidature to instead channel that support to his father, such that he could have what would be termed the last term of his office as the president of Uganda. And it showed me to one or two things. You remember at one point, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba came out and said that he was going to run as the president of Uganda come 2026. Okay, and at one point, so many people believed this, the way he started, cultivating the ground and the direction that he was pointing Ugandans at always showed that indeed he wanted to be that. Whether it was going to be, in all possible ways, ways of how he could attain that. But eventually, he changed the narrative to supporting the candidature of his father. So it gave me a thought that probably they sat with his father and maybe another inner circle and the leadership of the army to say that, look, for the stability and continued stability of this country, let's give President Yoweri Museveni one last time as the president, as he cultivates the ground better for you to come and lead, or cultivates the ground better for a smooth transition from him to another person, something that I believe that General Muhoozi Kainerugaba agreed to, and then made a pronouncement that indeed he was riding behind him, and that every person that believed in him and his ideology as PLU, or his pressure group, should rally behind his father. Something that his members welcomed. Okay, so a few days ago, to be specific, this week, I think it was on Thursday, General Yoweri Museveni, escorted by his first lady, Janet Katar, picked nominations of the NRM primaries. Okay, we understand that in Uganda, when you're to stand, you go through primaries. Okay, you are nominated by your own party and given the mandate to lead them before you're fronted to be the flag bearer of that very party to stand for a general election. We've seen different parties, coming out with different primaries, including the NUP, DP, and all these parties that have been formed to, front their candidates. So General Yoweri Museveni picked his nominations, seeking nomination as the flag bearer of the NRM, which most of the Ugandans and onlookers, but also analysts, believe could be his last term of office as the president of Uganda. Why? Just simple logic. One, he is very old, at around 80 years. If he's given one more term, he would literally be around 86 by the end of 86 by the end of the forthcoming term. But also there are people or standby generators in the wings that have had already pronounced that they would take over from him, to be specific, his son. So it makes you feel that if he happens to be the flag bearer and probably goes ahead to win the forthcoming general election, this is probably going to be his very last term of office as the president of Uganda. Something that most or majority of the Ugandans would welcome with open arms. Okay, it also shows you that there is probably not been an already, established successor to him. Okay, I want to believe that in his tenure, maybe a drawback that President Yoweri Museveni could have done was not to show Ugandans that this would be my successor. Okay, we've seen a few people that people earmarked that probably could be succeeding him, the likes of Amama Mbabazi, then the likes of General Mugisha Muntu, then they separated, then the likes of a number of people that were earmarked to be his successors, including some in the first family, but somehow this was watered. So this prolonged lack of transition could also show you that there was a problem within the party systems and probably a foresight by Mzee to pinpoint a successor. And that's where General Muhoozi, sprouts through among the rest of the team to be the most favorite person that will repress his father as the president of Uganda come maybe 2030. let's say if he happens to go through and become president for the next term, then probably 2030 or 31, whichever term as it ends, he would be the successor. Something that is not far-fetched, but rather more of a reality. Because I remember in a number of videos here, I've always told you that it is going to be a hurdle and a big mountain to climb for a civilian to think that they would come and through elections become president of Uganda. That is very hard. Even through elections or not, it is very difficult for a civilian to rule or to govern or to lead Uganda. So when you look at all the people that have come out, the likes of Bobby Wine, the likes of Mugisha Muntu, the likes of Dr. Chiza Besigye, the likes of whoever is thinking that they would like to become president of this country, they should possess an element of militarism, an element of, having been servicemen in the army. Those are the ones that probably have a higher advantage. But also the division that is within the opposition of Uganda gives them no room to become leaders. NUP came at one point and was looked at to be a very strong party that would sway and swing people maybe into thinking that you never know, we could win through elections and have a president. But before the elections come, already we've had numerous divisions in all these political parties, which could be a move from within NRM to divide and rule other parties, but also division within these very parties. NUP has split into a number, including the one party that has just been, formed and walked away with a number of MPs. We've seen FDC dividing into two. We've seen UPC dividing. We've seen so many, all these political parties. So the environment is not so firm for other parties to bring a presidency, to bring someone that can take over and, probably win an election besides Yoweri Museveni. So it shows you that before even the elections can come through, Museveni has already, and this is a personal opinion, Museveni is most likely to be the winner of that forthcoming election. So it still opens room for his son to come through the next time. However, it would be different if anyone accidentally won this election and took over office for General Muhoozi to come. Maybe through other means, but diplomatically it would be hard. But when Museveni becomes president for the next term up to 2030, it would be a walkover for his son to succeed him. Believe me or not. Any analyst will tell you that. So, what does this show you? It shows you that, one, President Yoweri Museveni is still most likely to be the president of Uganda come 2026 because of the divisions and all factors really point to that he will win. Two, it shows you that there was a little bit of lack of readiness within the party systems and within Museveni himself to transit to a different kind of leader. Also, it shows you that Ugandans still believe in President Yoweri Museveni. When you saw the mammoth turn-up of people that walked with him to the nominations, it signals that Ugandans still believe in this old man. Also, it shows you that Uganda is yet to transit from military leadership to civilian rule. They still believe that for Uganda to be stable and be secure, they still need a leader that is a military man. Okay? That's what I thought we would discuss today on Africa Uncovered. Please, if you have anything to say on this opinion, on this video, go down to our comment section and tell us your own opinion, what you believe is a message for President Yoweri Museveni, the longest serving East African president, being nominated again, probably for one more last term. What does it signal? Give us a comment, tell us, like, share, above all comment on this video for this channel to benefit, to become better and better every day and ensure that we serve you better. That's what I thought we would discuss today. And my name is DJ and I want to say adios and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.